What's going on, family? What's going on? It's Brother Coasty at IALLG.com. We're always building bridges within to explore the world without. Before we get started with today's topic, special shout out to Singing Bowls. Get your frequencies up. I'm gonna do a meditation with that for you all sometime soon, so stay tuned for that. But today's topic is all about why you can't stick to decisions. Why can't you stick to decisions? Before we get started, rant mode, ramble mode, whatever you want to call it, I just really I will tell y'all often, learning is so fascinating. Just learning more things that you can apply to your own life, and therefore have a better interaction with the world around you and impact other lives. Like it's, there's nothing better than that feeling. If you really don't like to learn, or you are hesitant to do so, you haven't found the right subjects. I encourage you to find the right subjects, and I promise you, your world will change the more you start learning about it. Or maybe it's just not the right time for you. Some of the things I'm learning now are things I thought I wanted to learn, in a previous moment, and I wasn't for it. And now that my brain has developed, it allows me to appreciate the knowledge and appreciate the information and the data. Like it's awesome. So, why you can't stick to your decisions. Before we talk about you, let's talk about other people first. Controversy mode. People are not bad. People aren't evil. I'm going to tell you what people are, though. They're hurting. They are hurting. And they're in pain. People are hurting and they're in pain. And we know the saying, hurt people hurt people. It's so very true. And a lot of the people that we attribute to a lot of negative things or bad things, deep in their mind, unconsciously, subconsciously, or they're just not aware at all, they are in pain. They are hurting. And I'm not saying that to excuse anybody, because I'm not. And I'm not saying that to justify their behavior, but I'm saying that so that you can understand the mind of your fellow human beings, and so that you can also understand that you too share some of their behavioral patterns. We often like to cast judgment on other people, not realizing that typically what we notice in our negative in other people are the exact same things that we have in ourselves as far as patterns and behavior is concerned. This is a very profound understanding, and it's a very important subject when we're talking about why you can't stick to your decisions, why you can't do it, or why you don't, rather. Why you don't stick to your decisions. We understand patterns, right? We understand cycles. I hope we do by now. You grow up in an abusive household, and typically, more often than not, you yourself become abusive. And it may not be the same form of abuse, but it's another type. But abuse is the common factor. Maybe you saw your dad hit you, or your siblings, or your mother, or vice versa. And instead of you hitting other people with your fist, you hit them with your words. You attack them emotionally. This is important stuff, family. And I say all that to state, typically when you grow up in that kind of environment, you make a decision. And even if it's not that environment, it's any environment, you make a decision or you make a statement and you say something along the lines of, I'm not going to be that, or I'm never going to do that. We make this declaration of how we're going to change and how we're going to break the cycle. And lo and behold, as life goes on, we repeat some of the same behaviors, or we attract the same partner, or we end up in the same boat. And we start questioning ourselves, how did I get here? Or we lie to ourselves and try to distance us between us and the supposed person we don't want to be like. So us and our parents, us and our other partners, us and our friends. We don't recognize that we share the same traits. This is important backstory, backlog, so you can understand what we're going to talk about today. About why you don't stay with your decisions. And it's, you got to show grace and compassion to people. I always will start off with that. You got to show grace and compassion to people. Now, I'm not saying you got to put up with BS. And I'm not saying that you have to just turn the other cheek. But sometimes you need to just walk away. You don't take things personally, because you'll recognize as we go into the discussion today that most of these people are doing things because they're not aware of themselves. And you think they're attacking you, but in reality, they're fighting themselves. You're just collateral damage. That's why it's important to learn to walk away and leave. Now, I'm not saying to just take crap, defend yourself, have respect, but have enough discernment to recognize when somebody's attacking you because they want to hurt you, and they're attacking you because they don't know any better. And have enough discernment to know how to defuse the situation or handle yourself, or it's not extreme and you don't become the offender and you stay as a defender. Recognize this, family. So we're going to start this off with a math problem real fast, right? So there is 5 birds on a wire, and 2 of them decide to fly away. How many birds are left on the wire? I'm sure most of you all are going to want to say 3. However, there's a difference between deciding and doing. And herein lies our dilemma today. Why you don't stay with your decision. Why you don't stick with your decisions. It's because there's a difference between deciding to do something and actually doing it. And oftentimes, the reason that you don't do something or you don't stay consistent with doing something is because you have a line tethered. You have an attachment to that behavior, that action, with something that you dislike or that you don't like. It's very important, family. And I gave you the talk before this because I had to preface it with another reason that we don't stay with our decisions is because of self-denial. We lie to ourselves, and sometimes it's consciously and sometimes it's unconsciously. We just don't recognize it. Now I'm gonna quote a story, and it was a beautiful story, and we'll talk about this, right? So there was a man, and he would go to this bar every day after work, and he would order 3 shots of alcohol, whatever it is, whiskey. And the bartender would pour the 3 shots of alcohol. And he would do this every single day. One day the bartender got enough of doing this. He said, we have, we can just pour you a triple. We have big enough glasses so you can just get a triple shot. And the man goes, oh no, it's because of a story. It's because I have 2 brothers, right? And every day after work, we would meet at the bar and we'd all take a shot and we'll talk about our days. And, we'd have our unionship together. But as typical of life got in the way and we're no longer close. One of them flew to London for work and the other one's in Atlanta. And we can't get together for the drinks anymore. So what we decided is that we're going to come together or we're going to do this every time we get off work. We're going to take a shot and just remember, what we're supposed to be doing and talk about the day and unwind as if we're all together, and while we do it, we'll think about our brothers. So the bartender said, okay, cool. So the man kept coming in, ordering his 3 shots. Man kept coming in, ordering his 3 shots. Man kept coming in, ordering his 3 shots. Until one day, randomly, the man came in and the bartender was pouring up his 3 shots and he said, wait a minute, I'll just take 2. And the bartender, not wanting to ask for fear of what might happen, he just poured the 2 and didn't say anything. Next day, man came in, still with the same 2 shots. And this happened for weeks and months on end until the bartender had enough and he was like, you were ordering 3, you're only at 2. You're only 2 now. Why is that? And the man looks at him in the eyes and he goes, I stopped drinking. Self-denial, family. Self-denial. This is why we don't stick to our decisions, because we lie to ourselves and we justify behavior even though it does not have a standing with logic. But self-denial is very important in being tethered to what this behavior might bring or what it may commit us to is another thing. Now we can dive into this. I could really break all this down, but this is specific for each person. The behavior, why you have a hard time changing, why you have a hard time moving away from your old habits and bringing in to a new habit. This is something that's very important that a lot of people don't recognize. And, you know, this is the time of the year where everybody's making the big change, right? New Year's resolution. But we know the phenomena. But why is it that we repeat the same behavior year in, year out? There's very few people that make the lasting change. There's very few people that stick to the New Year's resolution. Why is that? It's because what I talk to you about today is self-denial. And also it's a tethering, a connection, an attachment to what this new behavior might say about us. And the last little bit of it is identity. Identity with the ego. The ego is a very misunderstood thing. I'm not going to talk about that here, but a form of your ego is your identity. It's who you see yourself to be. And often when we make decisions, we are rewriting the script. And oftentimes we do it in such a drastic way that it becomes basically an erasing of who we were. And so for a while, we're basically in this limbo state doing completely different things. And that could be frightening to most people. In fact, it is frightening dang near to everybody. And people allow this fright to turn into fear. And they allow fear to motivate them back into the behaviors they were trying to escape. So it's all about breaking fear of this fear point, or doing things in such a way where you don't introduce fear. And we have to recognize fear is not always conscious. You know, it's not like somebody pops up and says, boo, and you go, ah! It's sometimes it's unconscious, it's subconscious patterns and programmings that state, if I keep down this path, you know, you never know what might happen. It's that subtle voice, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the unknown, slides in and it's like, you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? And it depending on your upbringing, I'm just, hitting on a few things. And depending on your upbringing, depending on how your parents were, your parents used the unknown as a fear tactic. Or else. Who knows about the or else? Or you better not. These things that we've been told as children come to impact our development in the way that we do things in life and how we perceive and go out into life. There's a lot of subtle nuances. And unless you are skilled enough to be able to go through your own brain, and I'll even tell you this, family, even if you're skilled at doing it, everybody needs help. Everybody does. Coaches have coaches. It's a reason for your favorite athlete has a coach. Your favorite anybody typically has a coach, or they may not call them a coach, but they have mentors, they have guides. Like everybody has somebody that that helps them see the blind spots that they themselves can't see. We're in a day and age, where everybody's trying to, quote unquote, tap into the ether and tap into the spirituality, and they're like, well, nobody can tell me something that I don't already know. You're right. But guess what? People can help you see the things that you can't see. It's that simple. Don't allow your ego to limit your development and your growth because you don't want to ask for help or you don't want to get assistance. I'll say get assistance. But that's why you can't stick. That's why you don't stick to your decisions. It's because those decisions will be tied to something that you subconsciously or unconsciously avoid to be like. You're lying to yourself, or you got a fear of the unknown. And unless you have the tools and the techniques to navigate through that water, well, you tend to not go very far in the water. You turn around, you quit, you abandon hope. And this is why, again, I talked about this before, why people get to their midlife crisis. That's why people, get far along in life and they're like, I just can't do it anymore. They have a breakdown. Mental breakdowns are real, and it's because you've done things that you weren't prepared to do, or you weren't prepared for. You didn't think them all the way through. That's where unsettledness comes in, unfulfillment, dissatisfaction. All those things are a symptom of doing things that you weren't quite ready for, or missing a key piece of vital information. That's why you don't stick to decisions, family. That's why. Not too complex, it's very simple, but getting rid of it is, typically where people need help. And as always, I'm offering my assistance to you. Visit the site, IALLG.com. I'd love to help you be able to work on your dreams, work on your goals. Otherwise, you're going to get at a standstill. You're going to stop progressing. And you're going to wonder why. And if you don't remedy that, if you don't remedy why you're not progressing, why you're not developing fast enough, you will quit, because you're going to get unmotivated. You're going to start questioning yourself, and then you're going to seek comfort in your old habits and patterns. If you don't want to go through that route, I want you to reach out to me. I want you to schedule a time for us to talk. What we're going to do is see if we're a good fit. I'm going to figure out where you're at, what your goals are, and we're going to talk about how I can help you get to where you need to go. That's it, family. This is Brother Q at IALLG.com. We are always building bridges within to explore the world without. Peace.